Okay, I'm having trouble, so bear with me. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the embezzlement story of the century, hiding in plain sight. Who are the stars of this horrible story? Well, you got this legal document that's dated January 24th, just about a month ago, right? Who's the attorney who wrote it? Let's see, William J. Rogers, license number 154219. And who's he writing it for? Fourth account of trustee Yehuda Ferris. Oh, that's that guy in Berkeley that's lived in Berkeley for 33 years. His wife owns tons of real estate. About this trust from 2019. Well, it's 5 years later. What's going on? The trust should have been closed. Okay, so here it is. They write summary of account, something like $82,000. But wait a second. Let's go to the next page. Schedule, date, check, receipt, William John Rogers, attorney's fees. Look at this, $57,000 in attorney's fees. But the trust said to give the children, the siblings are supposed to get $90,000, $30,000 each, and if they didn't get it in 9 months, it's supposed to be an interest-bearing lien on the property until paid in full. But what did they do? They sold the property for $82,000, but the whole house was worth $2 million. So they took $1 million worth of real estate that belonged to a cancer patient who paid the mortgage by his blood, sweat, and tears, building houses and fixing up properties all his life, and he left. There are two trusts. One trust says just give him outright ownership of 25% of his half. That's $250,000. For 3 elderly siblings in their 60s. One of them took care of his own brother for like 7 years straight. And instead of giving the property to the children, which any honorable, decent human being would have done, the trustee, Yehuda Ferris, sold the property out of the trust for $82,700. And then falsely claimed, along with his lawyer making false claims, well, we tried to give them some money, but they wouldn't take it. So now we had to give all the money to our lawyer. Sorry, we don't have anything left for them. Too bad. Yeah, they got 3 checks for $800 4 years ago. Hey, that's something, isn't it? Oh, we gave them 1 check for $2,500. Hey, so at least they got $4,700 out of. But they were supposed to get $90,000 plus 10% interest a year, and now it's 5 years later. So this has got $50,000 by 2025, according to the letter of the trust of the cancer patient. But instead, they got $4,000. They didn't get $50,000; they got $4,000. And who did they sell the property to? The same people that killed the cancer patient. His own non-Jewish Filipino daughters. Never spoke to him. In the entire 6 years he was dying of cancer. They're too busy making $100,000 a year as occupational therapists. Flora and Maxine Zipperin, whoopee. Look them up. One of them's working at a cushy job at UCLA. She's a child psychologist for the UCLA faculty, if they only knew. And she wouldn't be working there very long. And then Maxine, she's married to some fancy accountant making $100,000. So they're set for life. And the 3 siblings of the cancer patient are homeless, living in the street. You want to bet? You want to bet? Okay, so let's move on to wrap up this thing here. Okay, so what we have here is a transcript. It says reporters' transcripts of proceedings, August 19th, 24. It's a probate court in Alameda County. Here's the case number, RP 221-20163. So let's bounce all the way over to page 33. Now you can get this. You can buy one of these transcripts for $30. Just call the court reporter's office. It says here is the attorney for the daughters. And this is what he's writing. He's saying, the evidence will show, look at this carefully, folks, I'm not making this up, down at the bottom, the evidence will show that with regard to Maxine, that's the daughter who never saw her father in 6 years of cancer, and this is their lawyer talking under penalty of perjury, outright testifying on the stand, the evidence will show that with regard to Maxine, she did not have any in-person contact with her father after 2024. But he died in 2020. So what kind of daughter doesn't see their own father who's dying of cancer in 5 years? And that her communication with her father limited to 2 innocuous letters, the last of which was was sent months prior to him executing his trust. Okay, so God already knows this. Now this is for mortals like you to know. And then it says up here, with regard to his other daughter, Flora Ziprin, the one that works at UCLA, faculty's child psychologist for their kids. I'm scared of them. With regards to Flora Ziprin, she had no written communications with her father, Lee, and that her only contact with her father in the final 6 years of his life was a handful of phone calls and 3 brief in-person meetings, and 2 of those meetings occurred after the trust was executed. The evidence will show that Maxine and Flora had no involvement whatsoever in the creation, execution, or notarization of the trust at issue, but rather the trust was prepared by Lee independently after 4 liver comas, 3 weeks in a row in the hospital, yeah, right, and of his own accord 4 months prior to his death, and with the assistance of his personal attorney, Will Rogers, who met with Lee. He didn't meet with him to discuss his wishes. Now, mind you, he had liver cancer, which 90% of people die in 6 months, and he was in the hospital in 4 consecutive liver comas, 3 weeks at a time. But according to these greedy people, he was competent enough to change his trust. And that's all, folks.